Okay, good afternoon to all of you, especially those who decided not to come on Monday and Tuesday. Today, we are going to take a look at arrays and the functions. Let's begin. All right, so on the screen, we can see we have two rectangles. Think of the rectangle as the memory, okay? And imagine we have a class of about 5 students, and we would want to store the ages of the students in a class. Initially, that's before we start tackling arrays, we would be taking a look at the age of every student. We will be assigning them to a variable. So we'll get a variable one called age1, storing the age of the first student, another variable called age2, storing the age of the second student, and eventually we'll have the fifth variable storing the age of the last student. Now just imagine we have about 1,000 students. We are supposed to store all of their ages. Then it means we will need about 1,000 variables. Having different variables, if you want to do an operation on them, you cannot loop through all of them because they have different names and they are not stuck to a particular structure. This is where an array comes in. On the screen, you can see a long rectangular box divided into pieces. An array is a box that contains boxes. So the box contains smaller boxes. And just as you would want 5 variables to store the ages of 5 students, in this case, you would need one box divided into 5 spaces, where the first space has the age of the first student, the second space has the age of the second student, and then you move to the end. The array positions, which are known as subscripts, are numbered from 0 to 4. So unlike the variable names that you would have named naturally as age1, age2, age3, this time around, if the name of the array is called age, then we are going to be referring to the first position as age position 0, age position 1 for the second position, and so forth. Let's take a look at this. On the screen, this is how we reserve a space in memory for an array. We write the keyword declare and then we write the name of the array. I want 5 spaces, so I'm going to put 5 in here. So declare ages with 5 in there. If I want to refer to the first position, I'm going to write ages at position 0. Assign the value 23 to that age. Ages at position 1, assign 42 to that age. Ages at position 2, like that, until we are done. Now imagine you needed a for loop to do something with this particular variable very quickly. You can use a loop, and then the loop's control structure will be changing as time goes on. And with that, as it changes, then you'll be able to pass in that control variable into the box, the square box of the array to refer to a particular position in the array. So right now, take a look at the next slide. I think there's nothing there. Okay, hold on, let me write it. Now, if I have a for loop that starts from x to x equals 0 to 4, it means that the loop is running 5 times. Now, if the loop is running 5 times, the body of the loop comes in this way. I shift to the left so that you see that the statements are under the for loop. And with that, I'll just have to write, I've already written my declare whatever up here. So declare the array name is ages. Okay, ages equals ages at size 5, so I need 5 spaces. And because the subscript, okay, is the particular position of the array that we want to reference, then we started from 0 because we need 5 items. We start from 0. 0 is part of the items. We end at 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3, and then finally 4. That is what you saw in this slide. So from 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those values we put in the square boxes are known as the subscript of the array, or you can call it the index of the array, or the position that we are referring to. Now let's come back here. Over here, the array had just been created. So we told the machine to reserve 5 spaces for us. We've not put anything in there. We could have naturally done it this way, like what we did over here. We could have done something like this without using the for loop. We could have done this, and this would have given us, would have done it manually. Okay, and doing it manually will make sure that all these values are filled, the particular positions are filled. So if I want to print what is in the various positions, I will need a for loop. And with the for loop, x starting from 0 to 4, because you know the positions run from 0 to 4, and the step is just going to be 1. So moving from 0 to 4 is just 5 moving, or 5 jumpings. Now we go on to this side, and over here we can tell the program to print ages, okay, at a particular position. We can put 0 inside, but it means that anytime the loop runs from 0 to 4, which is running 5 times, it will only be printing the value at 0, which is 54. Let's say these values are varying. Let me make this 14, 50, 54, 24. So something like this. In this case, when I bring my N4 here, it means that what is going to happen is this array is going to print the value of ages at 0. Ages at 0 now is 54. It's going to print this one 5 times, because when the value of x is 0, it will run. When the value of x is 1, it will run till and now finally gets to 4. But right now, 0 is the one that's inside the square bracket, which is the index of the array, or you can call it a subscript. If we change this 0 to the control variable, which is x, and that x changes every time the loop runs, then we'll have access to ages, each value of the ages. This is part of a whole structure as shown in the slide over here. So with that, we are going to have access to the value of the ages. So when the loop runs for the first time, it will print 54. When it runs again and x is now 1, it will print 14. It runs again to print 74, and eventually it will be done. So that's basically what we refer to as an array. But in a question where you are expected to use an array and you've declared your array alright, but nobody has put a value in the array, in such a case you are not having values in the array, so you can't take those values and sum. So let's say you have a question which asks you to take the ages of 10 students, okay, or find the sum or the mean age of 10 students in a classroom. So we are going to be looping from 0 to 9. Your array should have a size, so it can be the size of the students. Okay, so that's the 10 over here. So up here we pass in the exact size. But what if you never knew the size? So in that case, you can put an arbitrary value inside here, okay, but your loop should loop from 0 to the size you are going to be taking. So over here, I'm going to get a variable called number of students, okay, number, I call it num of students. So having an array that takes all the ages of students, I'm going to pass in num of students over here, so that the array that I'm reserving will have, if there are 10 students, it will have 10 spaces, okay. In this case, I'm going to loop until I move from I move to number of students, or number of students minus 1. Right, so with this we'll step in 1 1 1, and eventually we'll get to number of students. But Just as we created an array over here, empty boxes like this, there is nothing inside. So if you try getting a variable called sum and you assign sum the value of 0, you wouldn't be able to write this particular operation and expect it to work for you. When you write sum equals sum plus ages at position x, the x array doesn't have any value as of now, so you wouldn't be getting any value to sum to your sum or to add to your sum. In this case, anytime your loop runs, you should, that's if your array doesn't contain anything, you just declared it and you want to use it, you should take input from the user. So let the user input a value in the exact position of x that we've gotten to. So by so doing, when x is 0, we will say input the value of x at 0, input a value as x at 1, like that, until we are totally done. We get to number of students minus 1, because that's the last index. All right, so if you remember, while we were doing the types of errors, when you start accessing a value or a part of an array that does not exist, you get array index out of bound. So if an array has a size of 10, the last position would be the number 10 minus 1, which would be 9. In this case, the array has a size of 5. The last position is 4, for we run from 0 to 4. If you try accessing the array at position 5, that's where you get the error, array index out of bound. So this is basically what I'll say about arrays. If I get an extra time, I'll talk about functions. So expect the next video on functions. And then from functions, I'll solve the question that I told you to try out. So this is why I'll end over here.